Hey, my name is Rusty Corhonen and I've got a story for you. When I was a young teenager, I cut wood for money. I basically sold firewood. And though I didn't have my driver's license yet, I did have a permit, and I had made a bunch of promises to deliver quite a bit of wood the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And I had stored all this wood in the back of our house, and there was no way to drive a truck around there. So I wanted to avoid moving it with a wheelbarrow. I had to go in off this major road. It was about a 6-mile trip. There was a 2-track that led right to our backyard. Well, my dad had thrown his back out. He was flat on his back in traction in the family room. And my Grandpa Little had arrived the day before, and he graciously offered to come with me. So we drive all the way around. We get into this 2-track. We come upon this big mud hole. I was familiar with that mud hole. Hadn't driven through it before, but I knew it wasn't super deep. So I proceeded to go through it. We made it with no incident. We got to the next mud hole, which was one I was a little concerned about. It was bigger than the road, with a big hill on one side and a swamp on the other. I knew it was pretty deep, so I stopped. I got out, poked a couple sticks in there, and came back. My grandpa said, "You're not gonna make it." I said, "Watch this." Started moving forward, and as I got into the middle of it, stepped on the gas a little bit, and we jumped forward a couple of times like this, and then it came to a stop at a 45-degree angle. My grandpa and I had both hit our heads on the ceiling of that truck, and I was bracing myself against the steering wheel, and he was bracing himself against the dashboard. He looked over at me with this twinkle in his eye, and he said, "You didn't make it." So somehow I got my 75-year-old grandfather out the window onto the bed of this truck because we couldn't open the doors. I tried everything. I hopped back in. I tried rocking it back and forth. It was not going anywhere. Even though we had 4-wheel drive, it was purely stuck. So we walked back the mile or so to our house, and we only had one truck. I didn't have any friends who had trucks. I called a friend of mine. His dad graciously came driving over, and when we first got to that mud hole, the first mud hole, there's no way that car was going to go through it. I rummaged through the garage. We had some come-alongs, which are like these chain-driven pulleys that you can ratchet. They were both up at our cabin up north. We had a cable, but that's useless without a truck or something to pull. I called every towing company in the phone book. None of them would send anybody out. They said, first of all, we'll only send trucks for roadside type of service. We're not going in to get you stuck from the woods. So I was out of ideas. I called all of my customers and asked them if it was okay that I deliver this wood on Friday instead of the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and they all agreed. But I was getting frustrated now. I got this truck stuck. I have no idea what to do. My dad yells for me to come see him. He's flat on his back in our family room, cannot move. And he starts telling me all the things that I had just run through. Hey, what about the come-alongs? They're up at the cabin. What about a towing company? I've called them all. What about somebody else's truck? There are none. What about the cable? I said the cable is useless without some kind of mechanism to get the truck out. I'm out of ideas. I don't know what to do. So he starts running through his mind and dictating to me what I should do, and I got really frustrated, and I mouthed off to him and I left. Well, my other grandparents had just come in. My grandmother was standing by the door, and I was starting to walk past her. I said, "Hey, Grandma." She goes, "You go apologize to your dad." I said, "Grandma, you don't know what's going on. I got to go outside." So I went to brush past her. I don't know what happened. The next thing I remembered, I was flat on my back with my grandmother's foot on my chest and her pointing down at me saying, "You go apologize to your father." So I went and apologized to my father. Well, we decided that there's nothing we could do about it that night. The next day, I called every one of these towing companies again, pleading with them, "Hey, can you please just send somebody out? It's not a big deal. It won't take more than 5 minutes." Nope. As it was getting close to noon, my dad said, "I got an idea. Bring me the phone." He had a friend who owned a towing business that would tow semi-trucks. They weren't in the phone book, and he called and explained the situation. "Hey, my kid got my truck stuck in the woods. It's not that far from the road. Can you help?" He said, "Yeah, it'll be a couple hours, but we'll send somebody." I go out to my truck and wait. This guy shows up with one of those semi tow trucks. I mean, it's almost like a semi tractor trailer by itself. This thing is mammoth. I looked at that. I didn't think it would make it through the 2-track, but he assured me it would, and it was brand new. This thing was beautiful. This guy made me pull every branch aside so that he wouldn't scratch his truck. And we get to that first mud hole, he went through it like there was nothing there. We get to the second one, he's got this big winch on the front of his truck. I bring it out to my trailer hitch. He pulled that truck out like it was a toy. I mean, he wasn't even there 5 minutes. There's no way he could turn around. So he starts backing up, and he missed the turn as he was coming out of that the first mud hole, and he got his truck stuck. It was more wedged than stuck, but didn't have enough traction because of the mud. So he told me what to do. He says, back your truck up here, put the cable on. I want you to go drive over here and just put it in park. So I did that, and he starts winching it, and it starts dragging my truck back. He says, okay, get off of that sand, move it on this gravel, and start going slowly forward. So I start going slowly forward. He starts winching, and it was just enough to get that truck out. So he backs all the way out to the main road. I follow him. He says, dude, I'm only gonna charge you half because you had to get me unstuck. And he said, I also appreciate the fact that my truck didn't get scratched. So I brought the truck all the way back around the front of my house. I decided I was gonna spend whatever time it took to load it by myself. And I was actually glad because it seemed like the world was in our kitchen for Thanksgiving preparing dinner, and they were all giving me so much crap. I said, you know what? I just want to be by myself anyway. Well, I got all of it loaded just about the time we were getting ready for dinner. I helped my dad off the couch. We got him sat down. He was still pretty sore, but at least he was able to move. And everybody started giving me crap. I mean, I was obviously that whole week's entertainment. They still remind me about that today, as a matter of fact. But my Grandpa Little stood up for me. He said, well, hang on a minute. I have to give Rusty his due. His driving abilities are very good, even as young as he is, because he got that truck farther and deeper into that hole than I thought possible. And he said that with the same gleam in his eye when we got stuck the first time. Well, my name is Rusty Korhonen. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, check out the other two I've got in the end screen here. And please hit the like and subscribe button. My name is Rusty. I hope you have a fantastic day.